أهلا بيكم. كتير من مهندسين التخطيط أثناء مرحلة المطالبات بيكون محتاج إنه يعمل برزنتيشن عن فكرة المطالبة، فبيحتاج أجزاء من العقد أو بنود من العقد وأجزاء من الناراتيف بتاع الديلي أناليسيس. ففي تطور حصل جديد في الذكاء الاصطناعي إنه بقى يقرأ العقد ويقرأ المطالبة ويعمل ماتشنج ما بينهم ويعمل برزنتيشن لوحده. ومش بس كده، ده كمان بيشرحها. خلينا كده نشوف مع بعض الذكاء الاصطناعي عمل ده إزاي.
All right, first things first, let's establish the baseline. What was this project supposed to look like according to the official contract? On paper, this thing was airtight. You had the scope, the towers, the mall, you had the two main parties, advanced real estate as the employer, and engineering construction as the contractor. You had a clear 3-year timeline, and of course, that big 85 million real fixed price. Everything seemed buttoned up. And they even had this line right there in Article 5.1 of the contract that basically says it all. It's a formal commitment from the contractor to build everything exactly according to the approved plans. No wiggle room. Or so they thought. So that was the blueprint. Now, let's talk about where the first cracks started to show, because the problems began almost as soon as the work did. So, January 1st, 2024. Boots are on the ground. And literally 2 days later, bam, they hit a huge snag. Buried right where they needed to build was a whole mess of old utility pipes and cables. It took 2.5 months, 75 days, just to clear it all out before they could even think about starting the actual construction. And we're not talking about some small, forgotten pipes. The contractor's official claim gives us the details. This was a main water pipeline and major electrical cables, a whole network that was completely, totally missing from the official plans. Just as they're finally getting past that first hurdle, a second bomb drops. This time, it's the project owner coming in with a request for some pretty major design changes. That alone kicked off a whole 2-month process of redesigning and reapproving everything, adding another 70 days of impact to the schedule. And look, these were not minor tweaks. The owner asked to make the mall 40% bigger, add an entirely new floor, and get this, completely change the building's main structure from concrete to steel. I mean, any one of those is a giant change on its own. So this is where the real domino effect kicks in. These weren't just isolated problems anymore. They started a chain reaction, with each issue compounding the last. So on top of the site issues and the massive redesign, other things started piling on. Those new designs, they needed new government permits, which got stuck in backlogs for 50 days. Then, a crazy sandstorm, we're talking 80-kilometer-per-hour winds, shut the whole site down for 15 days. And to top it all off, global supply chain chaos held up key materials for another 75 days. The dominoes were falling, and they were falling fast. So with all this chaos, how on earth do you figure out what delay was caused by what? Well, professionals have a special tool for this. It's called a time impact analysis, or TIA. You can think of it like a forensic investigation for a project's schedule. It's designed to calculate the real impact an event has on the final deadline. And here's the simple version of how it works. You take the original approved project schedule. Then you digitally insert a delay. Let's say those 75 days for clearing the site. Then you let the software recalculate the entire project's end date. The gap between the new date and the old one, that's the true delay to what they call the critical path. And when the experts ran the full analysis, the results are really telling. Check this out. The duration of an event, how long it took, isn't always the same as its impact. See how the design changes took 70 days, but only delayed the final deadline by 65? That's because of other work happening at the same time. But when you add it all up, the total cumulative impact on the project's finish line was a massive 267 days. Now, a 267-day delay isn't just about time. As they say, time is money. And in this case, it was a lot of money. Let's look at how those days turned into reals. The final bill submitted by the contractor to cover all that lost time came to 4.2 million Saudi riyals. And remember, that is on top of the original 85 million real contract. So where does a number like that even come from? Well, you can basically split it into two main buckets. About 70% of it, almost 3 million reals, were direct costs, the tangible stuff. The other 30%, those were indirect costs, like general company overhead. And if we dig into those direct costs, it gets really clear really fast. Just paying the salaries for the labor force to stick around for 8 extra months cost $1.28 million. Keeping the site managers and supervisors on board cost another $720,000. And renting all that equipment, some of it just sitting idle, cost $640,000. It adds up so quickly. So a 267-day delay, a 4.2 million rial claim, you know what happens next. This leads to a huge conflict, and both sides went right back to the one document that started this whole thing, the contract. And this right here is the core of the whole fight. The developer points to Article 8.1, which says, plain and simple, penalties are applied for any delay. You're late, you pay. But the contractor fires right back, pointing to the very next clause, Article 8.2, which says delays are excusable if they're unforeseeable and outside their control. Like finding hidden pipelines or a freak sandstorm. Both sides believe the contract is on their side. And this whole saga leaves you with a really important question. In this world of giant, complex projects, maybe the real challenge isn't about making a perfect plan. We just saw what can happen to one of those. Perhaps the true measure of success is mastering the chaos when that perfect plan inevitably breaks.